I think every single player needs to understand how to play different types of pitch shots. Whether you use them very often or not, it's always handy to have them in your armoury. For this particular shot, you might want to go high, medium, or the low shot. And I'm going to be doing it all with a 58 degree. So I'm going to talk you through the high shot first. And a lot of it comes down to ball position. A lot of it comes down to length of swing and also your understanding of face control. But what I'm actually going to do as well, I'm going to adjust my grip for the shots. So for the higher shot, I'm going to go for a slightly weaker grip. What that's going to do then is going to help me maintain two things. It's going to help me maintain the angle on the face, but it's also going to help me maintain the bounce on the club. A lot of golfers, and the most kind of common grip that I see is the strong grip. So for a right-handed golfer, the right hand tends to be too far under the club. And then as a result, the club goes in behind the body. And what tends to happen when the club goes behind the body, we start to present the leading edge to the ground and we lose the bounce. But if we have a kind of a neutral to weaker grip, the club will stay more in front of the body, and therefore we're able to maintain loft and maintain bounce through the shot. So it makes a huge difference. So for example, if I go strong grip but try and hit a high shot, what's going to likely to happen is the face is going to want to rotate through the ball and then either close the face and move the ball left, or we catch it fat because we've only really got the leading edge to be playing with. So the weaker grip, I'm going to put my right hand more on top of my left thumb. So that's the key one for right-handed golfers. Trail hand goes more over the top of the lead thumb. So when I look down, I'm actually able to see 2 to 3 knuckles on this trail hand, which is perfect for keeping the club more out in front of the body and maintaining the bounce. Also, to help us get some height, we're going to put the ball position slightly further forward in the stance. So slightly further forward encourages the club to hit down on the ball with more loft on the face, pops the ball up higher into the air. As a result of that, I'm going to need a longer golf swing, because if I'm hitting the ball with basically a weaker face, a more open face and a more kind of a higher angle of attack for higher spin, just like you would do on the driver, you're going to lose distance. So to counteract that, I'm going to need a slightly longer swing, which is now where the issues come in. You see a lot of golfers really struggle with this, because for what is only probably a 30-yard shot, it's going to require quite a long swing. So with a longer swing becomes a lot more difficulties, a lot more inconsistencies. You're activating more rotation in your body, you're using your hips more, you're encouraging weight distribution to kind of move across to your lead side. You're also you just need better timing throughout. A lot of golfers will tend to kind of go for that lower shot because the lower shot will require a shorter swing. Shorter swings will generally, psychologically at least, mean it's going to be easier to consistently repeat. So that was the high shot. For the more neutral shot, for the more kind of what I would say your bog standard shot, I'm going to go back to my neutral grip. So I'm not going to go too weak. I'm going to get the ball position more central in my stance, and I'm just going to swing the club. For this particular distance, about 30 yards, just get my hands kind of going from waist to waist. One thing I don't want to try and do, I don't want it to get too wristy. I don't want to use the hands too much. We're not trying to create loads of height. We don't need to create speed, which the hands will often give us a little bit more speed. So all we're going to try and do is use a bit more of what I would say is a dead arm pitching technique. You may have seen this technique in a recent pitching video that I did, which is all about this technique. So you can go and check that out for like the full version of this style of tip. But ball position is going to find its way back into the center of the club. What I often do for setup, and this is kind of for the high one as well, is just open my hips towards the target and flare my front foot ever so slightly towards the target. This just gives us that encouragement to be able to continually rotate through the golf ball. Last thing we want to try and do is just rely on the upper body just moving back and through and having no impact on the lower body. Again, purely through fear, I see a lot of golfers kind of get really static in the lower body, which therefore means that you're going to be inconsistent with the quality of ball striking. So from here, we still want to make sure the lower body is active through the shot. So we're going to go ball position central, club face nice and neutral, flaring open the hip, flaring open the foot, dead arm swing, lower trajectory, and you see the ball still comes out with a bit of spin, but that very first bounce is a little bit firmer because the flight was flatter. So a flatter flight will give you a slightly stronger first bounce, but then it will still have some spin, providing you're not using an absolute brick of a golf ball and unlike me, you've cleaned your grooves. So the lower shot now, we're going to put the ball position a bit further back in the stance. We're going to stick with the same club, still going to use a 58 degree. And this one, actually going to feel like you're going to draw the ball. So you're going to feel like you're swinging it more from the inside. And this is a shot that's very high risk, but it can be a great shot depending on the situation. Now, this front left flag wouldn't be the time you would play this shot. The back left flag would be a little bit more like it, or even the flag on the right-hand side would be a couple of occasions you'd want to play this where you land it on the green and just let it release, particularly on that first bounce. As we saw from the more neutral grip, the first bounce is going to be quite firm. So this one now, as you can imagine, will be a little bit firmer, a little bit more of a jump. So I'm going to put the ball position on the inside of the trail foot. My lead foot and my hips are still pointing towards the target ever so slightly, not much. And I'm just going to allow the club to work more around my body, okay? You could even strengthen the grip a little bit, but again, makes it pretty difficult. And one thing we're going to try and do on this one, we're not maintaining loft, so we're going to allow the face to release. So notice I've got the club, the head, the toe of the club up to the sky, or you could continually rotate it as you go through the ball. So you really feel like you're hitting a more like a draw spin shot. So club in behind, inside the right heel. I'm going to go slightly stronger grip, hips and stance ever so slightly open, more around my body, much lower flight, much stronger first bounce, little bit of check, and then it releases rather than spins. And that ball got me pretty much 2/3 of the way back on a low trajectory with a lob wedge. All I didn't do then was actually aim at a target. Otherwise, it would have been pretty decent. Guys, give these 3 shots a try. Like I say, if you never even use them, it's good. It's really good in the short game to be able to experiment a little bit more. There might be shots you hate, but if you use them a little bit more, you get to understand them, get more knowledge about them, you will improve your general ball striking and short game as well. Guys, hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you next time. As I mentioned before, I've got a full video on that dead arm pitching technique, so go and check that out. That kind of relates to shot number 2 that I've just shown you there. Amazing for consistency of ball striking, understanding how the face works, understanding how the ball works and the spin and the release. So great tips, so do go and check that out. If you've got any comments, if you've got any questions on this, drop them down in the comments section below. Also, if you are new to the channel, welcome. And please hit that subscribe button. If you've enjoyed the video, like and share it with your mates as well. See you again.